Hey everybody, Matthew here with MEB POD. Today I'm going to be doing another episode of the podcast or content creating, whatever you might want to call it. This is going to be a nice short and sweet episode. Really looking forward to getting another one out there. This is going to be I think episode 17, which is pretty impressive. I'm pretty proud of myself for keeping this going. Obviously, none of it's perfect or where I want it to be at the moment, but it's at the beginning. What are you gonna do? I don't have a guest on today. It's just gonna be me. It's gonna be nice, short and sweet. But we are gonna kind of more or less get into the podcast. We're gonna talk a little college football. We had a wonderful week 1 of college football. We have a little NFL week 1 coming up. We're gonna do my picks, of course. Talk a little MLB baseball. We're going to talk about my Seattle trip that I'll be in next week that I'm looking really forward to. We are going to be talking, all things sports, golf, YouTube related, looking forward to everything that the up-and-coming future is going to be bringing. So with that being said, like I mentioned, it's going to be a nice and short, sweet episode. I am guestless again. Well, surprise, right? But we'll get right into it with like the birdie and the double bogey. Of course, we'll start with the birdie, start with the double bogey, and then finish with the birdie because I always like to finish on something good and positive. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about my double bogey, and that is dental costs. I guess that's how you would say it. Is that the best way of saying it? The cost of dental work would be your whatever. So I had recently went to the dentist. A couple, last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And I've got a whole proposed treatment plan here of things that I need to get done on my mouth. Whether it's like a cavity or a crown or whatever it is. And I'm looking at the prices and I'm like, Jesus, I've got insurance. I've got dental insurance. I thought that was would help lower the cost a little bit. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I was looking at each tooth as okay, for one tooth, you got a $60 charge here, $120 on the same tooth, and then another $15, or $150, and then another $600, all on one tooth. So each tooth is broken down into little pieces on what needs to be fixed per tooth, whether it's and then of course the cleaning and the this and the that, and at the end of the day, it is important, very, very important. Keep your mouth clean and you're healthy and overall, physically healthy. That is an important part. Along with, I'm sure it probably benefits your mental health too, to make sure that you're thinking straight and clearly. I know that's can affect a lot of parts of your body, physically and mentally. If you have a nice clean face, mouth, whatever, I'm sure it helps. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pay for it. I'm not going to do everything at once, but I've never said this, never thought I'd say this before, but I'm super excited to get dentist work done. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes to a lot of people, myself included. I hate doing things like this, but I'm kind of excited, not going to lie. Just get it done, hopefully get a nice, fresh, pretty smile, whatever it kind of takes to get that all finished and cleaned up. Kind of with that being said, we had, it's a little, it's not really a bad thing to get this stuff done, but we will kind of move on and go to my birdie. The birdie is, I'm headed up to Seattle in less than a week, so really looking forward to that. It's a huge, another little vacation for me, another great, beautiful golf course I'm going to be visiting in Chambers Bay. Got to get my logo ball, my hat, my golf polo. I'm just kind of looking forward to getting out there. Would have liked to have played a little more golf prior to going up there, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to shoot low. I'm just trying to, show everyone and give everyone that experience of what golf is really about. Obviously shooting low would be ideal. Hitting great shots every time would be perfect, but that's not how I play. So, some players, only get to see whatever, a small portion of the golf course because they're hitting it in the fairway and in the green. I'm hitting it, you know, in the high grass on the left, and then in the fairway, and then the bunker on the right, green side bunker, and then on the green. And I'm getting to see all different parts of the golf course. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm kind of getting my money's worth, and hopefully I'll be able to get some good content on the course out there as well. You know, so that with that being said, you know, it kind of dives me into a little bit of my like what I'm trying to do with this golf adventure podcast, sports kind of thing. This is kind of really more or less inspired. I've had a couple inspirations out there on why I'm doing this. You know, I don't know, a year ago or whatever it might be, it kind of got me really inspired to like, I love podcasts now. Like it's like, well, I don't even watch TV anymore. I do, but I don't. I mean, I still, of course, I have the TV on and I'm watching stuff, but I've really dove in feet first or head first into the podcast world. Listening wise at least, and kind of tipping my toes in the making my own podcast. But like guys like Bob Does Sports, obviously you guys have heard me talk about him, even Pat McAfee's show. You know, I want to be more high energetic like Pat McAfee, and that's and he's got obviously the name and, you know, the ESPN working behind him, or Disney, I guess is what it is, working with him, with all the high production, all that offers and brings to the table. But that's kind of why I'm doing this. You know, I'm kind of getting out of my shell and my comfort zone. I want to be more energetic. I'm obviously very awkward on camera. I'm not used to this, and that might play a big role. So I'm kind of going to be posting more in front of the camera stuff as opposed to the 2 reels a day, short form little reels about golf. I want to get more in front of the camera, get more comfortable with it, learn angles and lighting and all that kind of stuff, so I can produce better content, I guess. You know, because my awkward self doesn't like being it's not that I don't like being in front of the camera, it's that when I'm in front of the camera, it's a little awkward because I don't really know what to talk about, or I'm always thinking in my head, oh, no one cares about what I have to say, and at the end of the day, it's not that I don't care what people think, but I guess a small little part of me does, you know, but you know, the more I'm in front of the camera, the more confident I'll get, the better content I'll put out, and the more engagement and reels and or views and all that kind of stuff I'll see. Now, with that being said, the little short form reels of golf that I've been putting out twice daily for the last couple of months have worked tremendously, and you know, I think it's a great way to engage with an audience outside of your normal everyday life. I think it's a fantastic way to build some type of network when it comes to whatever niche it is, whether it's makeup, jewelry, golf, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, building boats, whatever it might be, you know. I decided to go the golf route just because I love the game, and I think it's a great way to get out of my crazy head and thoughts sometimes. I think it's a way to express gratitude and humbleness, and learn and grow as a human, not just as a golfer, but as like a human being in general. So I love the game, and with that being said, you know, that's why I want to produce more on camera stuff, because, you know, I get out there on the golf course, I hit a great shot, I think I'm like one of the best golfers and can make the PGA Tour, but then the next shot I top it 2 feet in front of me or whatever it is, and you know, the game has humbled me, and I've learned and grown from it. Now that's kind of what I'm doing here on the camera. I've been posting these little two or three, whatever, 2 reels a day, and with not me in front, with no one in front of the camera, just the little short little things I've been posting, and I've been getting a lot of feedback and a lot of you know, views and comments, and, you know, it's great and dandy and all, but, you know, it's not me. You know, I want people to see who I am and learn and let people know the real me. I'm not like, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I play great golf. I play bad golf. I do things that I, you know, shouldn't do, and not that I shouldn't do, but that I screw up on a lot of things. But I want to get more energetic, and that kind of brings you back to the Pat McAfee and the Bob Does Sports. What Bob Does Sports and Pat McAfee do is they show who their true selves are. Now, I've never met Pat McAfee, but from what I hear, he's just as crazy wild as he is on TV as he is in real life. And same with Bobby Fairways. I was able to meet him, and he's that goofy Jersey guy that, you know, we've all kind of seen on his YouTube channel in Bob Does Sports, the Brilliantly Done show podcast, and of course all his golf videos. So I kind of wanted people to see who I really am now. Right now, I'm not my real self. I mean, it's me, but I am going to be starting to post more energetic, exciting content, I guess. I do want to get myself more on the camera. Like I said, next week I'm headed to Chambers Bay. I want to get out there and do the best I can at the game of golf, at posting good content, whether it is me on the camera or not. I want to get good shots of like the Puget Sound. I want to get good shots at the Seahawks game. I want to get good shots at the Cardinals Mariners game. And then, of course, the downtown. I want to get people to see me throwing the fish at the Pikes Market or whatever it's called, the fish market out that downtown in Seattle. I'm hoping to get some good content out there. So if anyone's listening, you know, or fans out there, I need help. I need help with, you know, camera angles and someone maybe to help me out there with the cameras. Whoever, if people like to travel, come along. You don't have to like the game of golf. We're out there. We're going to be going out. I've already got the MLB baseball schedules out for next year already, so I'm going to be planning my next trip. So if you want to come along, just let me know. And I need, you know, if you want to be part of this thing that I'm doing here, all are welcome. You know, I haven't really gotten much feedback other than from maybe a few people. But, you know, with that being said, I'm really looking forward to, you know, what the future brings in this world, this content creating world. I kind of, you know, I know for a fact I poked fun at the people that used to do this a while back because it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know why people would ever put themselves out there like this, because the internet's harsh. The people out there are brutal. They don't care. You know, there's a lot of talkers behind the keyboard, and don't know how to face like reality. And you know, that's why I don't get on there and, like, for example, Riggs versus the Hater series. You know, people on there just chirping the guy. And does the guy got an awful swing? Look, at least the looks of it, absolutely. But the guy can, you know, if he can play golf. If he can't play golf, great, whatever. He's out there enjoying what he does. He works for Dave Portnoy and Barstool. He's got one of the coolest jobs, and I think that's where the haters start, is because they envy him, you know, and they hate the guy for what he gets to do. He got to play Cypress Point. He gets to play some of the best golf courses in the world, and I'm sure not all on his dime either. So I mean, shoot, the guy's got the life. Him, Frankie Borelli, Trent, Beef, Jerry, all those guys that work at Barstool, Bob Does Sports guys, Joey Coldcuts, Fat Perez, Bobby, Grant, all these content creators have the coolest jobs in the world. And they are sponsored by some of the best companies out there. Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist. They get to play golf with Tiger Woods and Tommy Fleetwood and Scotty Scheffler, and they get tips and whatever it is from some of the coolest people out there. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to play golf with I'm not saying that I hate these guys for what they do. It is super cool, and I can't really say that I'm not a little jealous of what they do, but I'm not going to sit there and hate on these people who do my ideal job, you know. I think that it's cool what they do. I think it's cool that they produce this content, because you get to see your average golfer or mid-handicap golfers shooting with the best golfers, so it's a little more relatable, and I think that's what people hate. You know, that's why I think people tune into the Hater series. But, you know, with that being said, I'll kind of, you know, I'll dive into a little YouTube golf, and then we'll go into college football and NFL and baseball and that kind of stuff. And then, of course, my favorite part of the series, my favorite part of my podcast now, although I was being a little biased last week, I'm going to get a little better this week, just because that was a terrible showing of me to do the picks last week with the I was 0 for 4 on my college football week 1 pick, so we'll get better with NFL this week. So like I said, we'll dive into a little YouTube golf, college football, NFL, a little baseball, and then we'll dive into the maybe even a little we'll dive into my picks, of course. So with that being said, you know, I got your YouTube golf. So, Internet Invitational is over. I do not know the ETA of it. There's top 48, some of the top 48 golf content creators. Dave Portnoy and Bob Does Sports invited out to Big Cedar Lodge out in Branson, Missouri. Really looking forward to the watch. It's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the, I think it might break the YouTube. I don't know. I might not even be doing this anymore because YouTube might be broken, but I think it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the guys, like I mentioned in my previous episodes. The Duke, John Gruden's going to be great to watch. Of course, your foreplay guys and your Bob Does Sports guys are going to be good. They're more, I don't want to say family friendly maybe, but they're still fun to watch. You got Grant in there, you got the Bryan Bros in there, so it's just going to be an overall great watch. But I did just watch an episode on Grant's channel. It was, can Bob Does Sports beat Grant Horvat if he started on the furthest part of the green from the pin? I know people have seen, like, can an average golfer win if they started every hole on the green in the Masters? And there's been debates, yes or no, just because of how tough those greens are at Augusta National. After watching Bob Does Sports and Grant face off in their thing, I think so. I mean, I know I've never been to Augusta, but at the end of the day, Grant was playing from the front tees at wherever, I forgot the name of the course. And Bob isn't your average golfer, whatever. He is. He's an average golfer. But it was 9 holes. Grant started from the front tees. I'm not going to spoil anything. Bob was playing from the furthest from the pin. But what Grant did was 3 days before the match, he went to the golf head pro of the course, wherever they were at, and they set the pins in the hardest spot on the green. So it made it a little tougher for Bob. But I highly recommend going on to Grant's channel. Shout out Grant Horvat. Shout out Bobby Fairways. It was definitely an interesting watch. It was close. I think that an average golfer could win the Masters if they started on the greens. And the reason I say that is I know the greens are tough. I know they roll fast and they do whatever, but like these golfers are going to be playing from the tips. They're not going to be playing from the front tees like Grant did against Bob. I know Grant's not the pros. He's not Scotty Scheffler. He's not Rory McIlroy. He's not hitting the ball a mile. But I think if you put me on the green in the Masters, I could beat the best the best golfer in the world if they started from the tips at Augusta. I don't think we're ever going to get the opportunity to see that, but who knows? Well, maybe that'll be cool little video once my channel blows up. So, that would be a pretty neat thing to see. I know probably with Augusta, it probably won't be possible. They'll have to find some other course to maybe try this on, but maybe it is one day. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. But, that's kind of my little take on YouTube golf right now. We got a little Ryder Cup going on in about a month. A little less than a month. That's going to be exciting. I tapped into it a little bit last week's episode about the teams and the formats and whatever, and that it's at Bethpage up in New York. It's going to be a battle between Team USA and Team Europe. I did make a mistake, I think, last week, and I said Matt Wallace, but it's John Rahm. I don't know why I said Matt Wallace, but John Rahm is going to be on Team Europe as well. But I didn't realize this, but 2 years ago in Italy, there was a Højgaard on Team Europe, but now his brother's playing this year for Team Europe. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think Nicholas Højgaard was on the 2 years ago's Team Europe. Now I believe it's Rasmus Højgaard is on Team Europe this year. So that'll be kind of neat. Really looking forward to that. I've seen Barstool has released some of their Ryder Cup gear out there. Their Ryder Cup collab with Barstool. That should be that stuff looks nice. Looks pretty sharp. I would say I'd like to get my hands on some, but I'm one of those guys that, like, if I don't either attend or play in the event, I do not want any gear that has that. So, like, I went to a live event down here. I feel like I am allowed. I know that's not everyone's rule. Like, for example, if I were to ever make it to the Masters, I would buy a shirt, and then I feel like I'd be able to represent that I was able to go to the Masters. Now I see people wearing Masters gear all the time, and I'm sure maybe it was a gift or maybe they did go, but I'm not going to buy any Masters gear until I actually attend the Masters, or I'm not going to buy any Torrey Pines gear unless I play at Torrey Pines, which I went and I played, so I actually have some Torrey Pines gear. It's just, I know it sounds silly, but that's kind of what I want to do, just because I want to keep the memories of me playing or attending events and stuff. And it's one of those things. I know it's stupid, but it's the rule I'm following. Like for example, my baseball hat collection. I have all the stadiums hats that I've been to, and I'm going to be getting one here, a Mariners hat here sooner than later. Looking forward to repping that one, even though they're playing my Cardinals, and I kind of got to root for them, but. So that's kind of my little golf take this week. Not much going on just because the season's over. We got TGL, I'm sure, coming back here in December. I'm going to make it up to one of those matches here this upcoming winter. Looking forward to that. But we'll dive into a little college football. Obviously, huge week one. Notre Dame versus the University of Miami. My Irish lost. Great game. Was able to catch the end of it where all the fun, exciting times were happening. I think Notre Dame defense just had a plan to stop Jeremiah Love and Greathouse, who didn't have a catch all game, who led the Irish the last 2 years in receiving yards, which is absolutely ridiculous that they were able to hold them to nothing. They kept the ball out of Jeremiah Love's hands, which is huge. They kept him out of the end zone. But overall, wonderful game. We had the Texas and Ohio State game, a little low scoring, a little sloppy. But I'm not buying out on Manning. I think Manning's still a great quarterback. It's hard as your first career start to go into the previous year's national champions' house and play. Obviously, he didn't have his best, but I think we see a great future for him here in the next upcoming games. I think Texas will still be in it towards the end of the year. Ohio State looked pretty good, though, defensively. That was a big game. Ohio State, I think, jumped up to number one. We've got, you had the LSU. Brian Kelly finally pulled off a week one win over Clemson. That was the night game. That was a really, really big one. Hopefully, Neuschleimer, however you want to pronounce his last name, the quarterback for LSU. One of the front runners for the Heisman, looked pretty good. Looking forward to seeing what LSU does. My Missouri Tigers took the win, the W, last Thursday against Central Arkansas. Obviously, they kind of had that one, in the bag from the get-go. But that Bo Perubula, the transfer from Penn State, is now, I think, officially named the quarterback for the University of Missouri. They had split time with Sam Horn, but Sam Horn got hurt in the first minute of the game or first drive of the game. So it kind of, I don't want to say it's good for the University of Missouri, but at least they have a set quarterback now. So looking forward, he looked real good though. Looking forward to seeing what he does this year. Missouri is not in the top 25 at the moment, but if they keep winning, they got Kansas next week, I think, so they should win that one too. It should be a good game just because it is a rival, but looking forward to what the college football season brings. Obviously, we didn't mention the biggest upset of the week. The Alabama Roll Tide. Poor Alabama Willie, or whatever his name is. He's not happy today. Florida State, big upset over Alabama. So it's a big win for the ACC. So Miami and Florida State come up top. Clemson didn't get the L. But, it should be this poor DeBoer guy that moved from Washington to Alabama is not very well received from the Alabama fans, I'm sure. I don't know how much longer the poor guy's got in Alabama. He probably doesn't have much time left as a coach unless he literally turns this thing around and goes undefeated for the rest of the year. Just because they live and breathe Alabama football down there in Tuscaloosa. So you had a big week 1, and I'm sure we got a big week 2 coming up. It doesn't get any easier for the Fighting Irish. They are at home though, but it's going to be against Texas A&M. I believe College Game Day is there this week, which brings me to Lee Corso's last College Game Day was this past week. Props to him. He did a fantastic job. Got college football really, really up there in the ratings and the map. I used to wake up I still kind of do when I'm available. Of course, well, I'm always available Saturday mornings, but for the most part, I'm always up watching College Game Day, seeing who Lee Corso whose headgear he puts on, seeing all the guys' picks from Kirk Herbstreit, Nick Saban's now on the thing. You got your guest speaker, Pat McAfee, of course. It's I love College Game Day, and I'll always continue to watch it until it ends. But I don't think it's got any end here coming soon. I know Corso's gone, but you still got Herbstreit, you still got Pat McAfee, who I think is going to be the new the amount of growth that guy has done in the past 5 years is he's really starting to just be everywhere on ESPN and the Disney Network. He's my personal favorite because, like I mentioned, he's kind of like an inspiration of what I'm doing here, and I'd love to have that energy, and it's coming. Eventually, the more comfortable I get in front of this camera, I'll be up there with the Pat McAfees and these commentators. I'm gonna be not as awkward. Pat McAfee is awkward, but he has that energy that kind of masks it a little bit, and I might be up there one day with him making picks. Who knows? So we had a big week 1 of college football. Big week here. NFL starts Thursday, which a couple days. Really, it's going to be. We got the boys, America's team, headed up to Philadelphia, the reigning Super Bowl champions. I gotta say, I think the Eagles are going to pull off that one. Not that that's my pick. We are going to get into my picks later because I failed miserably with week 1 of the college football. I'm going to stop being a little biased and make a little more educated picks, I guess is the right word. I'm gonna actually, not that I really studied the betting app, but I'm going to look more into it as opposed to just being a little biased and picking the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and, picks that. It made sense. Notre Dame's great, but they weren't a for sure pick. I just wanted to get some in there, put it out there in the content, and let people dog me on it. But we do got the Cowboys over the Eagles. I got the Eagles over the Cowboys in week 1. But Sunday I will be attending a week 1 of the NFL in Seattle against the 49ers. Really looking forward to seeing that crowd, a week 1 crowd that is in Seattle, which has the 12th man. I think it's gonna be a great game. You got your 12th man. Like I said, I think it's gonna be an overall great game. It should be a pretty close one. Looking forward to seeing what the city of Seattle brings. I know they got a pretty passionate fan base out there, but looking forward to that. We've got a couple of other good games. You got Buccaneers in Atlanta, Miami Dolphins. I guess I got to talk about them a little bit because I'm here. I think they're headed to Indianapolis. I think they got the Colts week 1. I think my Chiefs play Friday, I want to say. I forgot who the Chiefs play. Who do the Chiefs play? Oh, they're playing the Chargers. Yeah, so they got a nice divisional game in San Diego. I'm past my time. Los Angeles. So I think that'll be a good game. But looking forward to week 1 of the NFL. Once actually the games are in week 1, I'll kind of dive more because, like I said, I didn't really come prepared with this one either, this podcast episode. So I'm kind of making my bets and my talks a little bit about this. But we'll dive in a little bit of baseball, and then we'll get into my picks, and then end the episode. But with that being said, baseball, Cardinals, stressing me out. We were playing pretty well against some of the teams that we need to jump against the Reds, but now they're playing. I played the Athletics yesterday and got their butts whooped. if they can win the next two against Oakland, and then I know we're heading up to Seattle next week. Hopefully they can get a couple wins up there. That we really need to just win 20 of our next 25 games to even have a chance to make in the playoffs. We need I think the Mets, the Reds, Padres. We need a couple of those teams start losing. I still have faith. We're not mathematically eliminated yet, so I'm going to keep rooting for them. Brewers are just unstoppable. They're the best team in the majors right now, and then Toronto, I think, is the second best, or at least the best in the AL. So baseball's got still a little season left, and of course we got NBA and NHL coming right up around the corner. So this is almost like my favorite time of sport of the year when it comes to the sports, because you got college football started, NFL starting, baseball playoffs. You got the Ryder Cup. You've got NHL and NBA right around the corner. You've got some good sports coming up. So with that being said, not much baseball going on right now other than my Cardinals. We are going to talk a little bit about my picks. Like I mentioned last week, I did 3 games. I'm going to do a 3-game parlay. It doesn't have to be the money line. It could be points. It could be prop bets. It could be whatever it might be. Just because I'm in Miami, I'm going to pick the Dolphins every week. Not every week, but I'll pick the Dolphins this week at least, just to kind of get the fans included. And I'm going to do a little player prop in Tyreek Hill. I'm going to pick Tyreek Hill. I'll give him an anytime touchdown. He's scoring week 1. He is. Tyreek Hill's going to get week 1 a touchdown. Not sure what quarter or when it might be, but he will be scoring this week 1 against the Colts. And I think the Dolphins are going to take the win this week. To stay healthy. I'm not a Dolphins fan. I just want them to stay healthy because I think they've got a lot of potential down here. They got a lot of speed. I think they're coaching. I think McDaniel's, a great coach. I just think, unfortunately, he's got unlucky with some of the injuries. But looking forward to that. I think Tyreek Hill scoring. Dad is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. We're going to get another. I'm going to take the Bucs over the Falcons in week 1. So we've got Tyreek Hill scoring a touchdown. We got the Buccaneers taking it against the Falcons. And then let's find another one here. We're going to let's go to the game I'm going to. Seattle versus 49ers. We'll pick another prop bet. We're going to go my boy Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to give him over 70.5 yards. Over 70.5 rushing yards for Christian McCaffrey. So we're going to go Tyreek Hill, anytime touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, over 70.5 rushing yards. And then we'll pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win over the Falcons. So those are kind of my bets for the week. Please, 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 if anyone watches, I need picks for next week, for week 2 of the NFL or college football, since they're both going to be starting. I will feature you on my podcast. Like I said, I'm getting more energy. I'm feeling a little more positive and a little more comfortable in front of the camera. It's not going to be perfect, but like I mentioned, some of the greats. I'm sure Pat McAfee didn't sit first time in front of a camera and have that high energy guy, the level that he is all the time. Bobby Fairways is a nervous wreck every time he gets in front of the camera with a guest. As confident as he is sometimes, he said it's one of the hardest things to do, to get in front of the camera and talk to someone you've never talked to before. So I am going to work my way up to getting as big as those guys are. It's going to be in my own unique way, though. It's not going to be exactly like Bob does sports or exactly like Barstool does it. I'm going to be doing it my own unique way, and when I find that little niche, this thing is going to blow up, I promise you. It is not perfect yet. It is far from it. But like I mentioned, I am going to be doing more and more and more in front of the camera content, whether it's on the golf course, whether it's in the city of Seattle, whether it's in the city of Miami, whether it's just me sitting here in my apartment doing stuff like this. I'm going to be doing it all over the place. I will take breaks when I'm busy with work or whatever. That's important. I'm not going to be doing it in the dentist office, to show each one of my crowns like some people will be filming all the time. I wish I could, but I am going to be getting more and more comfortable. I know it can be a little awkward when I pull the tripod out and do stuff in the middle of places, but that's part of like the deal. That's part of that's part of getting out of my comfort zone. Because I used to look at people and judge, and I feel like I'm being judged, but at the end of the day, I should not care about what other people think. But like I mentioned, I think there is a little part of me that does, but I got to get out of that comfort zone, and I'm getting there. I'm going to be as positive about this as I can, and keep pushing. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be one of the big ones here. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I think in the near future, this thing's going to blow up one day, and people are going to recognize, this face. That's why I got to get it out there. I can't just be posting these 2 little reels without my face in it. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be getting my face out there every single day, whether it's on a story or my Tuesday night podcast or out on the golf course on Thursdays or streaming my college game days. I'm going to be going on live on social media, TikTok and Instagram, and so you're going to be seeing a lot more of me. That's kind of where I'm getting at. I am going to be ending the podcast now. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been actually, I think, my best episode yet. I know I was a little bit all over the place, but I am. The reason I say that is because I'm getting myself out there. I'm going to tell you guys that I'm going to be getting myself out there way more often. I'm going to be not just in Seattle this week, but I'm going to be in St. Louis in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I can get some good content out there. Maybe there'll probably be some puppies and some nephews maybe can make the cut. Nephews. I say nephews like I have more than one. Maybe my brothers or my mom and dad can make the cut. Get some content out there at the little party that I'm going to be going to for my nephew. I don't want to put him in out there without my, obviously his mom and dad's permission. But maybe we can get his little cute butt on there, Mr. Filthy, or the little puppies. I don't need to ask content for the puppies, but I'll get them on there in a couple weeks too. So. Anyways, like I said, this has been my best episode yet because I'm feeling already confident. I'm keeping them positive vibes up. Hopefully my picks hit for you. Hopefully you guys can follow through with those picks. Tyreek Hill touchdown, Christian McCaffrey over 70.5 yards, and of course the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Atlanta Falcons. Those are my picks for this week. Thank you very much again for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.